Hello everyone, Sean Shumway here with authenticarising. It's time for another reading. For those of you that have been following me, I took a little step away because there was some internal focus that needed to happen, but now it's time to bring messages back to the collective. So let's tune in and see what needs to come through. Okay, so I'm being called to the Psychic Tarot for the Heart Oracle deck first. This is going to be a timeless reading. Whenever this finds you, it's time for you to hear these messages. There's no specific call, agenda, theme that has shown itself yet. Just being open for the messages that want to come through. Timeless reading. What needs to come through in this moment. This way. He's wanting to lay. And he's a little open right now. We're in a Mercury retrograde. Things are a little swirly. Let's tune in just a little deeper. Bear with me here, folks. So first one up, lead. See if I can get that without the glare. Well, it is what it is. Lead. So what's immediately standing out to me is, you see we have the the pre-image of the figure before, and then he's standing in the foreground. He's got the he's got the scroll both times, but now he's got the crown. He's got the necklace there. He's standing in his own power. He is leading himself. At this time, again, this is time this reading, but as this is happening, as it's been recording, strange things are happening in the world right now. And we're seeing less and less and less reliable things from our world leaders. It's because it is time to find that inner leadership. We are all divine sovereign beings. That connection lives within you. All the answers you seek can be found within the self. There may be co-resonance from the world around you. It's not a bad idea to consult the wisdom of others. I mean, experience is a great teacher, and there are those who have been through things you may be able to learn from. But in truly finding the right path forward here, you must learn to trust yourself, your own inner guidance. Yeah, see, he's just so strong, knowing with all the tools he needs, looking forward, presently, confidently into the future. I'm here. I got this. I mean, you can tell there's sort of that tuning into the self, holding the self. There's just so much presence in his gaze and his posture, the way he's sitting, or standing rather. And this is a time to really, what's the right way to put it? To gather that, to ground into that knowing, but then don't immediately take off from it. Don't be impulsive. See, to kind of put that together. This is the number of this is the 4, and that is all about making that plan, outlining that course of action, making sure your ducks are in a row, so when you step forward, it is in the best way possible. He's holding that scroll of knowledge. He hasn't unfurled it and looked at it yet. He's just gathering it and that sense of self and infusing it all together and putting the pieces in place, doing the internal contemplation and that connection, getting ready to take that next step forward. And speaking of that next step, the next piece of the message. We have two coming out together. We have daydreams and decisions coming out reversed over strengthening bonds. So this coming out first, the daydreams, the decisions reversed. That's continuing on the same thing I saw from the lead card. That really need to sit in the self, and as you're stepping into your own power and leading yourself, you need to, what's the right word for it? Really make sure your actions are aligned with your highest good, your deepest desires, your soul's desires beyond what the ego wants. We can have things we want to manifest and decide that we think we want, but if we look deeper and tune in to the inner self, to do that contemplation, that meditative work like she's doing in the card, we can get a much clearer idea on how to proceed forward in the most empowered way and what is truly in alignment with our soul. And the other thing that's really standing about this to me is the green color. That's really talking to me about that heart chakra. To really take the time to tune in, and again, make sure you're leading yourself from that heart space. The heart knows more than the brain does. It's been actually proven that the heart sends more information to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. Let your daydreams, your deep intuitions, your soul's desires shape your decisions as you go through the steps of leading yourself. Sit in that meditative space, that seven energy, that gathering, that contemplation, that looking deeper, that digging into the knowledge of what you're trying to learn about, of what you're trying to do. Get both a good solid foundation, a grasp on that as you move forward. And this came out on top of this other card because you have to do that in order to strengthen the bonds around you. Now it's interesting that this is called strengthening bonds, but it's one person standing by themselves. And what immediately speaks to that is, again, you have to go through this previous work to know yourself, so that way you can be, because the only way to truly have a strong, authentic, nurturing relationship, a bond with anybody, is to know yourself first. You can only meet anybody as fully as you've met yourself. So again, here we have big energy coming through on this one. Yes, okay. So all kinds of things speaking to that. We have this is a one card, and it's red, talking about rooting deep into that root chakra, and as a person standing all by themselves, they've done this work. And instead of trying to go out and seek acceptance, seek bonds that are require them to be less themselves. They're just standing there, emanating out their frequency, waiting for those who are alignment to arise to them. So putting it all together so far, lead yourself through the act of tuning into your deepest soul desires, and then stand firmly in that. Radiate your authentic self, and the world will flourish and grow around you. That will strengthen the bonds, both in relationship to your environment and to those around you, to your relationships. The more you authentically are yourself, the stronger it will be for everyone. You will create the space where it's safe for someone else to do that, and you can meet each other in this authentic space, have any conversations that need to be had around that, and that will give you the strongest bonds. You know, in my past relationships, my past personal romantic relationships, they were not fun to go through, but every conflict always led to a better understanding of each other. But also, it doesn't always have to be necessarily about conflict and the hard conversations. That's part of it. But also, by knowing what you truly want, you resonate in that in others, and you will call those into your life that have same goals, same ideas, same direction. And so that will strengthen that bond too, is because you will actually call that out of each other. Anything else for these cards? But again, that daydream decision came out first. You must do that work first, because that is the only thing that's going to lead to being able to stand in yourself and create these strong bonds. In fact, that is what it's being called to do right now. That is most important. Yeah, I'm getting the energy here coming that this is cannot be stressed enough how important this is right now. There's just such a theme of this coming through right now, of letting anything that is not truly in alignment with us, with our deepest soul selves, falling away, whether that's within ourselves or within what we surround ourselves with. So whenever you're hearing this message, do this work. Lead yourself, trust yourself, tune in to your true soul self, and stand firmly in that. In your relationships, be authentic and do the work it takes to maintain that. And that will give you the strongest, most powerful, nurturing relationships possible. And that's going to be very, very, very important in the world as the external gets more and more chaotic. We must know who our close bonds are. That is how you will make it through. Any other messages wanting to come through at this time? Okay, gonna pull a rune or pull some runes about this. Let's see what else we have to add to from the Elder Futhark. pull 6. Interesting. Spread out a bit around here. And we're starting with right at the bottom corner of that lead card, you have ooze reversed. Do I read or do I turn them off? How does the message want to come through? Okay, for some watching this first step we talked about of leading the self, that's going to be some real work for you. That is there's some development that needs to happen there. Know that the challenge is if there's difficult things going on in your life, that is a call to come back to the self. If there's external things going on, that is allowing you to come back to this position to lead yourself, to cultivate your inner strength, to know that you are capable of leading yourself, that inner voice is there, that you are that strong, you are that powerful, you are that blessed, you are that divine. So yeah, because right next to it we have Pertho, and that's of the 6 I pulled, that's the only one that came out face up. So yeah, there are going to be if things seem unsure, chaotic, unknown, what are you telling me? That coming back to the self, of finding that strength within, is how you move through it, and you are capable of doing that. That is the only way you will learn to lead yourself. For some of you, is that all the external forces are going to have to fall away, so you have no choice but left to do it. I would just choose to do it, but you have free choice. Next one to turn here on the deck itself. You have, and I'm still learning my pronunciation on these. I know my meanings, but the pronunciation not these. The need fire. That torch of wisdom showing us what is most important, coming up on the deck itself. What are you telling me? Let me just tune in a little more here. Okay, similar theme as the last one. Again, speaking to the potential of external challenges and telling you what you really need. And that's going to be to tune into your intuition. You know, divination is really all about, I mean, sure, you want to learn the external meaning of the symbols and whatnot, but it's really about how they resonate with you, what that intuitive voice says. So I'm seeing that this landing on the deck as a representation of that, of your own inner intuition, how you feel. So, and what I'm meaning by that is, as you're finding your way through this work, learning to lead yourself, tap into your inner voice, your inner intuition. You know, your intellectual knowledge is important. Don't disregard that. But that deep knowing beyond that, learn to cultivate your relationship with that. Yeah, I got a big ping on that one. Someone out there really needs to hear that. Your intuition is your most powerful guide. Beyond any reading from anybody else, any cards you pull, just that internal gut feeling, it will never lead you wrong. So when things seem unstable, that's what that need fire is showing you, to come back to learn to trust that. That is part of the work of learning to lead yourself. That is a key factor in learning to do this work. And next rune. Anything else from this, though, from what's been shown so far? No, that's still talking. Yeah, it's saying, boy, you know, the more this may be somewhat already understood, but I'm feeling called to say it, so someone needs to hear it, that the more you learn to do that, you're going to may have doubts about that, about not trusting yourself, about having doubts about what your intuitive voice says versus what you see externally, and what your logic may say, or you may not trust yourself, like, how could I possibly know that? Well, as you learn to step into that, those doubts will burn away in this need fire, in this torch of enlightenment, of knowledge, of taking you into the dark depths to find the knowledge within. As the saying goes, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Lean into those doubts and let them soften, surrender, and let that intuitive voice come forward. Yeah, somebody needs to hear that. Yes. Now on to the next one. This one over here that landed face down above the two other cards. And algaes, still not sure how that was pronounced. Anyway, boy, and that is just reinforcing what those cards said, you know, about that daydreams and decisions, about that tuning into your soul's desire. Your soul's desire is the divine purpose. Every soul comes here with one reason: to be fully, authentically expressed. To do that beyond any egoic needs, wants, or happiness, but to fully express, grow, and expand is the divine purpose of why you're here. Now, the exact path of what that may look like may be particular to your lifetime and the lessons you've came down to experience and learn and grow through. But that higher self coming down through that divine antenna can be most known through your true internal soul's desires. Okay, and there is what else from this one? There's something about its symbolism, its association with the elk, the horned animals. Speaking through here, saying, okay, in the way that each year their antlers fall and regrow. As you're doing this, allow that process to happen. You know, ego does our thing. The more we tune into our true soul's desires, the more these external egoic projections and identities we've created will fall away. And just like the elk or a deer or anything lets their antlers cycle through each year, you have to let these new identities go and to let the new ones grow in, because it will only be that much stronger, that much more powerful, that much more in alignment with who you truly are and what your soul's purpose is here and how that will be expressed. Anything else for that room? Nope. On to this one that came on right on the lead card. Isa. So that is saying, as you're be mindful, because if you remember what I said about when I first started talking about this card about learning to trust yourself, learning to lead, and because boy, this one came out right like this, right on top. And notice to start with, I said that as you're taking the time to really tune into your self-leadership, to make sure you're doing that forework and laying your plans so you can move forward in the right way possible. Be mindful that doesn't turn into stagnation and stillness and procrastination. You know, do the internal work, you know, make what steps forward you can, but make sure that you are taking the time to cultivate the center of leadership first. and it's just this ESO's coming through to say be mindful, because if you lean into that too much, you could get stuck. It could turn into a stagnation, and be mindful of that. Always still allow the energy to be moving, the internal work to happen, allow the cultivation of the inner leader self, of this king sovereignty to happen as you're working through the potential challenges of the reversed urus, as you're doing the work of cultivating and building that strength of self. Keep moving forward, even if it is a step at a time. Know the power that stillness can provide in reshaping, but discern the difference between intentional meditative stillness and planning and action and internal action and stagnation. Be sure to make sure there's a clear delineation between doing those two things, and stay on that focused path. In fact, I'm being called back to that Nathuis and this internal intuitive self. And really, as you work through that fire will melt the ice of the Isa, so you do not stay stagnant, so you will keep doing your work. So really learn to cultivate your relationship with your internal intuitive voice. Just needed to come through again in another way. Okay, and what else? I'm coming back to the two cards here, the daydreams, decisions, and strengthening bonds. And in regards to what's been shown so far, that's telling me that okay. Okay, so there's someone that's seeing this that really, really needs to hear. Just like I talked about that message about letting the old egoic self cycle through. There's somebody out there that's really gonna have to let go of a lot of things as you step into your authenticity, your leader self. Know you are supported in this. That Algies, that divine guidance from above is there with you. You can do this, but there is so much in your life right now that is not serving you, that is not in alignment with that. And it is time to really, really, really step into intentional surrender. And for whoever that particular part of the message is for, you have support, you have guides. Particularly from your ancestors and on your maternal side. There is support, there is love, there is resources, there is energetic power being downloaded to you in this moment from your mother's lineage, from all the strength and power that came from her to bring you here, that is available to you here, now. I invite you to claim it in 3, 2, 1. And so it is. Your family, your lineage is so proud of you for the work you've done so far and what you're about to take on. You may already be in the thick of it now, or it's about to hit. But in any way, this is the time, this is the place, it is perfect. You're aligned, you can do it. You have all the spiritual support in the world and beyond right there with you. Stand tall, stand proud. Follow your soul's calling. Let everything else that is not aligned with the way just float away. It does not serve. And the last rune here, to put a pin on it, to put an extra punch on that, Gabo, a gift for a gift. When you sacrifice, when you give freely, the universe responds. Or alternately, when you ask, you must give. And again, I mean, that is just the sum up of what I just said. The more you let go of your egoic attachments and follow into that soul's calling, the more support will come. The support has come so you can get rid of that, sacrifice that part of self. Just let that ego death happen, and all will fall right into place. Boy, it ended up being a little bit of a long one. I hope this resonated with you. Thank you for joining me. Please, I ask that as always, if this does resonate with you, like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the things, help this grow in a digital presence. And also, as always, I'm available for private readings, energy healing, and life coaching to help you move through these things in the most empowered way possible, and to give you support in that process. Be blessed.